Welcome to Media Rebel Unplugged. I'm your host, Janice Becker. Today I am joined with Kelly Shultz from Shultz Homes. I am really excited to have you here and to get your input because a lot of our episodes have been about these strong women leaders in male-dominated fields. And you didn't initially start there.
Yeah. So my career trajectory, when I graduated from college, I actually started Pandora Radio back when it was purely Pandora Radio. Now has been acquired by SiriusXM, but I was there for about 7 or 8 years. So I was in the world of media advertising / tech. Amazing, only great things to say about the time that I had there. Marketing and advertising is a crazy world that I learned so much about. Worked with a lot of agency partners, huge brand partners as well. I was in Chicago at the time. Got to work all over the central region. Really amazing experience of getting my foothold in sales. I never thought I would really be in sales, but in the background, I always had this itch to come back to Akron area specifically because of my family. And my family had a home building company, and me and my siblings, 3 of the 4 at least, decided that we would take it over. So I made a path to kind of get back here and go the entrepreneurial route, which is what I really had my heart set on for a long time, which kickstarted my career in real estate. We own a home building company, but there's a lot more facets to what we do than just that. We have a development arm. I actually own and run a brokerage. So I'm the principal broker for Shultz Realty. And then me and my brothers own Shultz Design and Construction, which does high-end custom building and remodels all over northeastern Ohio. I run that with them, and it's many worlds merged together. It's construction, it's real estate, finance at times. Running a small business is running a family business, but it keeps things very interesting.
I bet it does. Yeah. I can't even imagine what that must be like, especially in a male-dominated field, but now you're also with family. What is that like for you to balance the two?
I was always around small and family business, and the fact that it was my dad that passed it along to me and my 2 brothers. I was always kind of groomed to be tough, and it was somewhat of a smooth transition just because, especially growing with 3 siblings, like 1 of 4, like you have to hold your own.
Yeah.
So I would never say that I was like a dainty or passive personality. I've always had it in me to stand up for myself. But going from tech and media, and tech has a preconceived notion of being a little bit more of a soft space than construction, making that transition and seeing how you have to show up in a room and put your feet on the ground and really make a seat for yourself at the table, I think, more so when it's an industry like construction. I've heard a lot of my friends and past colleagues that go into finance say finance is the similar way. No opportunity is going to get handed to you, especially if you're a woman. You not only have to be a hand raiser, but you have to literally pull the seat out for yourself and sit down at the table, which I think there's good, bad, and ugly in everything. The silver lining there is it makes you a stronger person every single day. Every opportunity that you get, you feel like it's deserved for your part in it, that it wasn't just handed to you, which, makes you proud.
It does. I'm proud for things myself in this very male-dominated space. In the media side, it's more in the leadership part that you really have to fight for that and still feel like your voice isn't really heard a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And advocating for yourself. The episode previous to this, we just had that discussion. It's you really always have to advocate, especially as a woman, regardless if it's for your health or for your career or whatever it is, to be heard. And I think we're making movement, but it's still surprising how we have to be loud about it.
I can tell pretty quickly in a conversation, especially with an older male. I'm good at reading how people are reading me. I pick up very quickly what they assume that I don't know. I've been in real estate for about 6 years. I've been able to impress so many people because the bar is so low, which is like good and bad. I'm not going to say it's easy to succeed, but if you're going to set the bar that low for me, great. I'll step over it very easily. I can tell quickly that they assume that I don't know things when I start talking through my methodology on reasoning for pricing or, I take on the economy and where the housing market's going. It's very quickly shifts the mood of the room, especially when it's a woman talking, because I'm always sitting right next to my 2 brothers. Everybody wants to know what they think. And God bless my 2 brothers. A lot of times they look at me as, because they know, what I know, and they respect me. It's interesting how our dynamic just plays out with strangers a lot of the time, because I think they assume that I'm like the sister that just tags along, and it's not our dynamic.
Are you older than those 2?
I'm in the middle. So I have an older brother, Aaron, and then my younger brother, and he's 38, and then my younger brother is 30.
Okay.
So I'm right in the middle.
I think that's great when you have that level of support from family members that acknowledge your knowledge instead of speaking for you or on your behalf and making you feel less than.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, they're my business partners, right?
Yeah.
And I'll give a lot of credit to my dad. My dad has 2 daughters that are very strong. If in, some other universe we were able to run a company together, my dad would have full confidence in us. Like, he knows his daughters as far as the capacity to, see things end to end, all those like minute skills that you have to have as a business owner, being able to act in the present while thinking about the future. Women tend to multitask in their brain a lot easier than men. I always say I would not last in the military because, like, if you're giving me instructions of do or die in the moment, I'm thinking about the next thing.
I'm already envisioning what's about to happen.
Women just have this like inherent ability to multitask and strategically plan in a calmer sense than their male counterparts, which makes us really strong business owners when it's something that our hearts are set on.
Yeah. What's something that you wish you would have known before stepping into this role?
I have such a soft spot in my heart for entrepreneurs and people that take a huge risk walking away from a guaranteed job, and not everybody's going to support you. I'm lucky that I have my family surrounding me, so I have that like built-in net at all times if they have no option to support me. You have all the resources available to you to succeed. It's just how much work do you want to put in? When I moved from having a 9 to 5 guaranteed salary, great situation, great setup, great job, to a little bit of isolation in a small business, going from a company of thousands to a company of 10 was a tectonic shift for me. There's a route for success and there's a route for happiness that can be truly your own unique thing. So betting on yourself and believing that it's all going to work out. I was pretty nervous in that transition, and now I see that this was completely for the betterment. I have a more flexible schedule. If I believe in something, I can see it through to the end and make it my own, especially in a male-dominated industry when you have to convince people that may not agree with you in the onset or, may discount you versus I have tons of male competitors that do exactly what I do on the brokerage side. It just makes it that much sweeter.
I can identify with that because I went from this big corporation, USA Today, went to a smaller agency, and then finally stepped away from that. And it's scary. I don't have anybody else supporting me or my children, and to say, okay, I've had enough of this. I'm going to step out. I believe in myself. And that's the biggest thing at the end of the day is believing in yourself. You can absolutely accomplish anything that you put your mind to, but it's hard. You're going to have a lot of trials, a lot of no's, a lot of competition, and women sticking together and supporting one another and building that network. I know for me being in a new area, a new business owner, and I never intended to start the podcast. And then I was like, okay, so I'm totally alone. Other people feel the same way. So let's start this and help reach other people with women leaders and inspire and motivate them as well.
It is difficult, especially with marriage, children, career life balance. Women really take that on a lot heavier in this time period of life than men do. It's hard to find like-minded women that are in the same position. It's hard to come by people that are thinking and have the same priorities. I'm pregnant right now, definitely excited to have kids, but I've delayed it for a reason. And I'm really glad that I did, honestly, in hindsight and seeing where I'm at today. But it's tough to find that community of people that are thinking about things the same way, especially in a smaller market. My experience is coming from a big city where everybody was grinding and all the ships were at the same level. And I loved the competitiveness. There was just a energy about it. And I am trying really hard to find that same community in this area. So I love that you're doing this.
Thank you. I'm glad. It's nice that other people have found this helpful to have others be able to identify with it. We've had a wide range of guests, and hopefully we continue to grow that so that anybody listening can find something to relate to. Like you even mentioned women in finance. Like we just had a woman on, and she's amazing. She's one of the Forbes recognized finance and wealth advisors. She's amazing. So I think I've been blessed with the ability to connect with other women. And part of that is they're able to see that I'm genuine. I really want to just help people at the end of the day. So like you said, just finding like-minded people is really important.
Any woman that I meet, I'm just, and any man too for this matter, but more so women, I just want to know their story and how they got to where they're at and what they think about their next step. I could see myself getting into other industries, buying businesses down the road. I always think if the construction industry is going to set the bar this low for women, what other industries are like this? Because I want to go blow it out of the water there too.
I love that because people will ask me, well, what's your next step? And I'm like, just world domination. I don't know.
Whoever will take me.
It's like I'm always starting a new venture. But I like that I don't feel held back in any way.
I've just had this unfounded sense of confidence since I was a little kid. And my time in media, I had one or two male bosses, and I was so young and so hungry at the time. I mean, I was a little bit nuts when I was right out of college. I was so about career development, and like I wanted to do skip levels with managers above me. I got a meeting with the CEO of the company one time. Like I had to fly to Oakland, California for this meeting because I just wanted to sit down with him and be like, tell me your story. I was really serious about it. I've seen men and jobs that they're not qualified for, but I've never seen a woman in a job she's not qualified for. A couple men that I've come across in my career, I've said, if you are doing this, I can literally do anything. Seeing whoever you have convinced that you have this handled or that this is the right way that this should go, if you can convince this many people of that, I can be the president of the United States of America tomorrow. At times, the negatives that I've seen in unqualified people in their positions has given me more hope where I'm confident, like, oh, there's tons of people out there that are doing jobs they aren't qualified for, but it's their confidence that just carries them on. Some women value themselves or feel imposter syndrome and things like that. I just want them to know, no, you're fine. Trust me. We're all just trying to get by. Nobody has everything figured out. Just keep going. Learn and make yourself a little bit better every single day and you'll be fine.
I was joking with my dad when I first started the business, and I was like, I feel like an imposter. Like I feel like I have a pretend business right now because I don't have any clients and I'm doing all these things. And he laughs at. I mean, it's real to feel like that, especially when you're building something and you don't see the traction for it yet.
Yeah. When I first got my real estate license in Ohio, in the state of there's levels to licenses. First you're a salesperson and then you're a broker. The typical trajectory is that when you get your salesperson license, you go work at a Keller Williams or a
EXP Realty.
Yeah, one of those bigger brokerages, and you go on, you work under somebody that's been doing it for a while, and you get in this pyramid, for lack of a better term. That's the standard route. But when I was getting my license, I thought, why can't I just have my own brokerage day one? I thought, well, I'll find a way around this. So what I did was I found a boutique brokerage that we had some history with. My dad had a partner, and I went to that guy and I said, hey, I'm getting my license. I want to have my own brokerage and be a broker, but I have to have my license for 2 years. But can we make a partnership for the first 2 years where I rebrand it? It looks like it's my brokerage, but he was the principal broker on record. I'm so glad I went that route because I had ownership day one and I was running a business day one, which I knew I could do that part. It was the actual transactions that I had to work with him and train before I could really take it over and be the principal broker on record. I'm proud of myself that I didn't just go work under somebody else or join a larger team and take the standard route. Ownership of businesses is something that's undervalued by women, and that's the true route to financial success. I took a little bit of a risk, right? Like it could have failed. That imposter syndrome where you're like, Shultz Realty day one has never sold a house. Okay, here we go. Now $50 million later, very successful, continuing to grow in my market, and I have market share, which is nice, but it was a little bit of a risk in the beginning.
That's very inspiring that you were so brave, really, to do that and to think outside the box. I mean, I don't know many people who would think that way. Ohio is one of the hardest states to get a real estate license, which most people don't know that. Yeah. And then for you to go that extra step and say, I'm actually going to own my own brokerage on day one. Yeah. It's very inventive.
Yeah. I figure I knew the branding part. I knew the running the business part. I knew I had the connections. I knew that I could convert the sales leads myself. I was just like, I'm a bigger value to them than they are to me. So I can figure it out and do it myself again.
Yeah.
If somebody else can do it, I'm going to figure out how to do it myself.
I think about that all the time. Like I could go and get another corporate job and make 6 figures, or I could have my own business and build it into something and have my children be a part of it, family business, and make millions of dollars versus I'm making them millions of dollars. Yeah. And then they're going to look at me and tell me, we don't give out raises here, but thank you for making us extra millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Because that is the standard.
Yeah. Ownership. It's definitely not for everybody, but if you know that it's your core, that you can take on that responsibility. Having employees is like a big weight a lot of times. They're before you. And that's the culture that we try to take is our employees and our clients come before us. And that's why for a second generation company, we've been able to be successful and have a great reputation. But if you feel like you can do it, it's definitely the route.
That being said, what advice would you give to somebody looking to start their own business?
Think about it from all angles. Definitely get advice from people, the good, bad, and the ugly. Literally from people that you admire, that have tried and failed, that have tried and decided it wasn't for them, which those are all fair routes. Don't look at it through rose-colored glasses. Like even when I assess an investment, I always take the pessimistic route. That way when it works out better, you're happy about it. But starting your business, you're never going to feel like you're ready. There's a saying, if you wait until your product is out of prototypes to launch it, you've waited too long. That's the biggest thing, is nobody's watching you under a microscope like you are. You just got to start and change. And especially in small business, that's something that I've learned and that I talk with my brothers about a lot, is at the end of the day, your ability to pivot, change, and keep moving forward is way more important than you doing it perfect, especially in small business, to a further degree, to a sense of higher perfection, or et cetera, et cetera. But it's just keep moving the ball up the hill every single day. What's the priority today? What's fitting into our long-term strategy? Let's keep doing these things at a good pace versus him hawing over the details, because those details are going to change way faster than you even realize.
I had to just count how many times I've had to pivot since launching.
Yeah.
In just a year, I couldn't even count.
And those aren't failures. Like as long as every single pivot is a improvement in one way or another, you're doing just fine.
Thankfully, I have a very supportive family, and that's something that I hear a lot from them. They're impressed with how quickly I pivot, and it ends up being a good pivot. Like you said, at least I learned something. Okay, this didn't work out. This was a failure, but okay, I'll move on to the next thing. Yeah. You just have to continue to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially in ownership, in moving from a 9 to 5, I know not everybody has this luxury, but you log off, you go home, you start thinking about the next morning, and they can replace you. When it's your business, it's literally your livelihood, which can weigh on you. And understanding that mentality and whether or not you can really handle it, you have to have a really good support system. I like that my husband doesn't work in our family business and never will, because he is the separation and the piece that I need from it. And I love working. I love running a business. It's not that I need to escape it. It's just that's my separation. Yeah.
When I talk to my parents about it, it's media and it's very technical, and they'll say stuff and they're like, we don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But they're learning as I'm talking to them all the time. But it is nice that they're actually also not in it.
Yeah.
It's sometimes frustrating that they can't relate to what it's like to be a business owner at the same time, because they've never owned their own businesses. My grandmother did. She owned her own hotel in Ocean City, Maryland,
awesome.
and was also a single mom. And so I think I learned probably the most from her, and watching her. Can you imagine running a hotel?
No, but she sounds like a boss.
She was the boss.
Yeah.
She sadly passed away in 23, but I remember I was 12 when she started teaching me the hotel and like during the phones and stuff. And I'll never forget, these girls came in and they were like 8 hours late. They hadn't called. This is before cell phones. And she ran out the room and they were so irate, and she just stood her ground, and she was so strong in that moment of me getting to witness this strong woman own her business, like truly. And the problems with employees and stuff that she had to deal with. I mean, I was a front row seat to all of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that your grandma had that background. I always say men are providers by nature, but when you see a woman that's a provider, it's on another level. Your grandma being a business owner during her time was rare. My grandma was in finance her whole career. She was the provider in so many ways for their family. She passed away in 22, but when I was starting my business, she helped me set up my QuickBooks and all my chart of accounts. She knew her stuff. She was an early investor in Apple. She was very, very, very smart. I accredit a lot of seeing her being in the conversation of the family finances and where their money was and what she was investing in, and having had a career that she retired from, and she was a controller for a large equipment company here. Just her having that experience and me being able to see it. Obviously, I didn't know it at the time. Was cutting the tone for women can do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is way cool.
I think you're right. I never realized how much she was setting the tone for me to do that. And looking back throughout my childhood, like I was an entrepreneur at probably like 10. I was selling bracelets I made on the sidewalk. You know, I was always hustling. Like, we would sell candy bars for fundraising, and I would double the price so I could get a candy bar.
Yes. My first business was I was a gift wrap. At Christmas, I would advertise that I would wrap gifts for $1 a piece. You had to either bring the gifts to me or I would come to your house and wrap your gifts. I was probably 10 years old.
Yeah.
My dad was my only client the first year. He had me wrap all of his employee gifts. But I would be like, Mom, you need to take me to Joann Fabrics. I need this many rolls of wrapping paper and ribbon and tape. And and did a little marketing myself. So cute.
I love it. I think for especially entrepreneurs who are successful, that's how it starts. It starts at an early age. So when I told my parents about this podcast, they laughed. They were like, "Oh my gosh, it makes total sense." When I was little, I used to put on a show with my brother. It was called Jake and Jamie Show. My brother's name is David. I don't know.
Two names that don't match.
They don't match. That makes sense. I was like, the Jake and Jamie Show. And I would be on a microphone. I'd either be singing or I'd be talking, and I'd be pushing him out of the way. And they were like, oh,
yeah,
there it was.
Perfect for you. Yeah, I love that.
But yeah, I'm glad to bring it full circle and hopefully to motivate my children as well.
Yeah.
And my daughter, especially, being the only girl with all these boys.
Yep.
To really just be independent and strong, which she is to a fault.
Yeah. I think things are changing for the better. Like you said at the beginning, like, we're making progress, but there's still those micro moments and big moments too. There are men in our industry that me and my brothers will go to a networking event and they will shake both of their hands and ignore me. And I'm just like, so rude. They either assume I'm one of their wives or somebody that doesn't matter. Or I love when people ask for one of them in a decision that would fall under my world. Things like that happen all the time. When I very, very first started, we had an employee that was slated to start with us, and he made an inappropriate comment to me. I put my foot down and I said, who's firing him today?
Oh.
They knew from day one there was nothing was to be played with like that.
Well, toxic employees are something that you should not keep around when you're starting your business, especially. The longer you keep them around, the worse it is for you and your company. It sets the tone for what you're going to tolerate. It's sometimes a very hard decision to make. I think in that instance it wasn't so necessarily difficult and very deserving. But you have to make those decisions very quickly.
And we have other women that work in our business too, and I feel like just me being one of the leaders of the company sets the tone that those women should be respected the same way. They may not be as forthcoming with it or as, objectively upfront about it, but I look out for them the same way. I look out for them and say, she's not just our bookkeeper. First, she runs all of our finances. She knows her shit. She's going to be respected as such. You know what I mean? She's not just our designer. She doesn't just pick out the colors. She is the creative mind behind what we do and why people will come to us. And dictating that expectation for the other women, I feel like is something that I take to heart too.
I love that you advocate for people on your team because that's another thing. Not all women have that ability to advocate for themselves. So to have somebody there that is a support system for them is important too.
Yeah.
So we always ask, what is it that gets you through your day?
Honestly, my husband is such a light in my life. My husband, coffee, and I just love my free time. I feel like that's my little reward in life, whether it's something small or planning a trip or whatever. I feel like that's the reward that I shoot for. Just the flexibility of time and coming back to myself outside of the grind. And I love Pilates, yoga, meditation, all that stuff. And I feel like my me time is like my sacred space. Whatever I need to do to keep that coming is what I'm willing to do.
Yeah. It's important. We talk about it all the time. Self-care, self-love, setting boundaries. And for me, because I have teenagers who feel like 9 o'clock at the night is the time to come talk to me now. They've ignored me all day. And I would love that. But now I'm like, no, the boundary is 9 o'clock's my time. Yeah. And you guys can come anytime before 9.
Everybody needs a little bit of peace just to recharge.
Yeah.
Get centered again so we can do it all again tomorrow.
I can't afford a nervous breakdown.
That's me all the time. I'm like, I can't, I don't have time to be sick. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming by.
Of course.
And I think there's going to be other women who can relate to what you're saying today. I always say if we just help one person with our conversation, that's a win for me. So where can people find Shultz Homes?
So we're Shultz DC on Instagram, Shultz Design Construction on Facebook. And of course we have a website. And if anybody ever has anything that they need, they can find me directly.
We're also going to put links regarding you and your company in the description as well so they can find you. And thank you all for listening to us. Please make sure you like and subscribe. And if you know anybody who would like to be a guest, there's a link in the description as well. We hope to hear from you, and we'll see you soon.